BookTube, it's Missy, and I'm hot. Not, you know, physically. Or it is physically. I am physically hot. Is that right? Wouldn't that be great if I was just vain, which I'm not. Okay, weird intro. Yeah, I can't get it out of my head. Okay, so today I'm here to talk about my July wrap-up. That's why I'm here. Not that I'm physically hot. It's so hot on the floor. Let me tell you guys something. I don't know if this happened all over the country, but here in Southern California, SDG&E, which is our San Diego electric and gas company, raised their rates. And so in July, my husband caved because it was 83 in our house. And I've told you guys before, it's so hot. We live on the 3rd floor and it's always hot in our house. And we don't get cross breeze and it's just awful. So the end of June, our price doubled. So we normally pay about $90 and it went to $180 for July. And then 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks before we went on vacation, it was miserable in the house. It said 83 in the hallway, but I swear it was like 100. And yeah, so my husband caved and turned on the air conditioner. And when we came back from Yellowstone, our bill was $350 for air conditioning. Like, it's insane how expensive. And you know what our thermostat was set at? 79. So that's how it was constantly running, even at 79, because it was so stinking hot in our house. What a ripoff, right? Like, we need to invest in more fans. I would like one of those handheld ones so I could just fan myself like an aristocrat while I'm creating videos for you guys. Would that be obnoxious? Because then I wouldn't be hot, but I would, you know, I would be cool, but also fanning myself constantly. Okay, that would be super weird. Anyways, tangent. Please let me know when I'm going on a tangent. I tend to do this most often when I'm excited and while I am drinking. By the way, cheers. This is the cheapest wine I could find at Costco, aka Kirkland brand. I deserve some. I am going crazy. So back to what I was talking about. July. I was going to make a wrap-up at the end of July, but I was still reading while I was packing, and so I didn't want to make that video before we went on vacation. But now I'm backed up because now I also have to do August's wrap-up, and I read, this is an envelope, I read a good amount of books, so I do have to create 2 of these videos. So we're just going to do July first. Yeah. Let's just go with it. So the first book that I read in July was actually a graphic novel that I borrowed from the library. I am in the middle of this frame, so I need to move. How's that? Is that okay? Or do you like the room's book better? I don't know. So, okay, here, I'll put all the pictures here. So this is the cover for Paper Girls Volume 3. What can I say about this book? I gave it 3 stars. I'm currently looking at that cut in half envelope that I have. I gave it 3 stars. The first one I thought was amazing. It's about a group of girls. I think there's 4 or 5 girls. I can't remember. They all have a paper route, and they normally had this paper route, and then a new girl moved into their neighborhood and joined them during this paper route. And it's like early in the morning or late at night. I don't know why it looks like it's nighttime when they first start out on their paper route, but they're in the middle of doing the paper route, I think, when like the spacecraft crashes. Or look, I read the very first Paper Girls years ago. So there's some kind of spacecraft. The girls find out that there's like time travel, and it's the 80s. So we have girls that, you know, are running the show, an 80s background, which I was born in 81, so I always love anything that's referenced to the 80s because nostalgia. I wish I could have lived in the 80s for the rest of my life. It was amazing. Who needs technology when you have amazing music, right? So, yeah, I don't know. So I really liked the first one. And then the second one happened, and it was kind of like a filler, like they were in a different time period, and they were trying to find something, and it kind of like lollygagged and dragged on. I was like, bleh. And then in the third book, they find themselves in the past. And again, it's kind of like draggy. Like, I don't know what the point is. Like, I can't see where this is going. Like, is it going to be like a Terminator kind of sci-fi graphic novel? Like, is that where it's heading? I don't know. It was a lot more interesting than volume 2. I will say that. I was on the fence whether or not I wanted to continue reading this series, just because it's not as good as I remember the first one being. But I'm curious to know what the girls are doing and why they are continuing to jump through time and what the whole purpose of it is. So it's a good possibility I will continue on. So there's that review. The next graphic novel that I read in July is Giant Days Volume 7. This one I gave 5 stars. I don't think I've ever given a Giant Days graphic novel anything less than 5. Esther, Daisy, and Susan are literally the best. I mean, if this could be a sitcom, I would absolutely watch it. They are so fun. It's about 3 girls who are entering college. The first 4 or 5 volumes is their freshman year of college. I believe they're sophomores now. And it's just their shenanigans. Esther is a gothic, dramatic girl who's always in love. Like, she always wants to be in love with all these different boys. And she's so fun, and she's sarcastic. And then we have Daisy, who is the goody two-shoes mom of the trio. Like, she's constantly telling the girls to eat and what to do and how to do things, and like their cleanliness isn't okay with her. Like, she freaks out. And I love that. Also, when we meet her, she is still trying to figure out her sexuality. She does come out in volume 2, I believe, or maybe it's the end of volume 1, but her family doesn't know about it. Her friends, of course, do, and they're extremely happy for her, but she's still nervous to let her grandma know, because her grandma's like very old-fashioned and would probably be upset about it. And then we have Susan, who is like the tomboy of the bunch. She has a boyfriend named, wow, it's not Graham, Griffin? I think, why did I forget his name? She's got a boyfriend who I absolutely love, who's a handyman, but is in love with her and all this stuff. And then for some reason they're fighting. And yeah, it's like, it's an off and on relationship with them. She loves everything about him, but he also makes her crazy. And, you know, that's the kind of thing that happens in really good relationships. You love to hate and hate to love. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. So I absolutely love this series. Again, I'm on the 7th one. The 8th one came out in August. I do need to borrow that from the library because I know it's just going to be as good as the rest of them. If this series could continue until they, you know, all throughout their college years and then maybe into their adult years, that would be amazing. I'm just being greedy. Who knows? But I am enjoying it while it lasts. The next book that I read was, and this was unexpected, I Hunt Killers by Barry Lyga. I talked about this book. I think I picked this up immediately after I did my first birthday shelf book tour for the summer. I said I can't believe how long I've had this, that it was like almost done, and I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet. Yeah, I picked it up. I was finishing up my achievements for World of Warcraft before the new expansion was coming out. Like, you had to finish like first aid because they weren't going to have it anymore, and some other achievements that would become like feats of strength, or is that what they're called? I'm losing my mind. But anyways, I really wanted those achievements, and so I ended up borrowing this again from the library and listening to the entire thing, and I absolutely love Jasper Dent. He's so cool and collected, and at the same time very, like, he cares about what people think of him, and he's like constantly trying to prove himself. So this book, if you don't know anything about it, by the way, I've been reading this since 2016. Yeah, it took me 2 years to finish this book. Not because it was bad, but because I am obsessively picking up other books and then leaving behind half-read items. Oh my gosh, my husband is on his way home. Early. He was supposed to leave Disneyland at 8 o'clock. Okay, where was I before he interrupted me? So, I Hunt Killers is about a boy who is the son of a very famous serial killer. Now, his father is in prison. He killed like 20-something, 26, something like that. A lot of people. And, like, just loved it, and was trying to teach his son as he was growing up how to become a serial killer as well. So he was teaching him how, like, he did it, and, like, you know, what to do in every situation, how not to get caught, and so forth. And finally the dad got caught. He was sloppy, and so now he's in prison. Jasper Dent finds out there is a murder that takes place in his town. He's worried that people are going to think that it's him because he is related to a serial killer. And so he goes about the entire book proving that he's not a serial killer, and that there is a copycat, there is a serial killer on the loose, and he's trying to stalk this serial killer and, like, drive him out in the open so that way he can be arrested. And ultimately, there's a struggle between that, because he wants to do good, but he feels he has this, like, weird underlying tendency to want to kill because his dad was doing it. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I also have the second and third book in the trilogy. I cannot wait to finish this series up. I do want to get to book 2 at some point. I am so good at reading book 1s, but never picking up the sequels. Like, I'll just have all of these series started but never finished, because the first ones are always so good, and I'm always terrified that the second one is going to have second book syndrome or sequel syndrome, and, you know, be super lacking in plot development or character development, and then I'll be like not wanting to continue. So hopefully the second one's good. Of course, I will let you guys know when I pick up the second one. And what did I give this one? I gave it 4 stars. It was good. I really liked it. I just wish it didn't take me 2 years to read. The next book that I completed in July was Gustav, Gloom, and the Cryptic Carousel by Adam Troy Castro, illustrated by Kristen Margiotta. I don't know why I can never pronounce that last name. So here we have Gustav Gloom, Fernie What, and the Cryptic Carousel. So here's Harrington, and then there's, oops, an ape. Okay, so the Cryptic Carousel. This is just book 5? 4. Book 4 of the Gustav Gloom series. I am currently reading book 6. I'm on the last book of the series, and I'm kind of sad about it. It's been a really good ride. So for this one, we have Gustav and Fernie, and they have decided to go into the dark country where Gustav's Hans Gloom is that's his last location. Like, Gustav knows his father went down into the dark country many, many years ago. He doesn't know if he's a prisoner. He doesn't know if he's dead. He just wants to go down there and see if he can rescue his father. Fernie decides, of course, since Gustav is his best friend, that Fernie decides, because Gustav is her best friend, that she will, of course, go with him. But they need to figure out how to get into the dark country without being captured by Lord Obsidian. He's got a huge jail for, like, with different rooms of, like, different torturing rooms, and so they're nervous that he's going to catch them, so they have to figure a way to get down there without being caught. And that's when the cryptic carousel comes into play. I don't want to tell you any more than that because it'll be a spoiler and it'll be fun for you guys to get there and see what happens next. But I absolutely still love this series. This one I gave 4 stars to. Again, I'm still enjoying it. And yeah, I think the last one I gave 3 stars because it was like in a, not like a stagnant kind of story. It wasn't scary and it wasn't super entertaining. They constantly get into these tight, like into these pickles where a monster or a bad person is trying to capture them, and so they're always trying to get out. And so if you don't mind having the same scenario happen in each book, kind of like the series of unfortunate events, you know, every single book Count Olaf shows up and the kids are trying to, like, get him caught by the banker, or, you know, expose him in some way to the police or something. It's the same thing here. So Gustav and Fernie have to fight different monsters in each book, but we're at the climax, and so in this one we're figuring out how to reach the dad and to see if they will even have to face Lord Obsidian. If you like middle grade, I would highly recommend picking up these books. Very wordy, I have to say, but in a good way. I mean, make sure you breathe because, again, there's run-on sentences, but I love the frantic voice of Fernie. She sounds like a 10-year-old kid, constantly talking without breathing, and that's how it's written. So I really enjoy that part. All right, the next book that I read was Ready Player One. Now this is a reread for me. I would like to read this book every single year. I read it twice in 2015 maybe. I can't remember when I read this, but I did read it twice. I mean, seriously, back to back. I read it, and then I immediately, the very next day, listened to it on audio, which is narrated by Will Wheaton, and it was amazing. And this year, the movie came out, and so over the summer, I decided I would pick up and read this to my children. My 13-year-old absolutely loved it. My 10-year-old, or he's 11 now, my 11-year-old was in and out of paying attention, but he would be like, "Oh, that guy's rude, Mom," or "Ooh, he's bad. We don't like him, huh, Mom?" And everything that had, like, grown-up sexual stuff in it, I would skip. And my son would be like, "Mom, why did you go la 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 la?" And then, like, read the page and then just completely skip it and say something else. And I'm like, because Mommy feels uncomfortable saying that kind of stuff out loud. You're 13. You will, you know, one day have to... I don't ever want to talk about this with you. I'm sure all parents get to that cringy time where they're just like, do I give my children the talk? Or do I wait until they ask me questions? I don't know. He's had the classes at school, and I let him know that he's allowed to tell me anything, but I don't want to just come out and say, this is what you will be doing soon, and I'm afraid of that. Anyways, I absolutely loved this book. Hello. Hi. I'm recording a video, my July wrap-up. What are you doing? Thanks. You drink tequila? Are you drunk? Yeah. You went on that ride without me, you bastard. I'm highly disappointed. Highly. I want to ride those rides. Hello again. It is the next morning. It's 8 something, like 8:15 in the morning. So I left off last night with Ready Player One. Finished my review saying how amazing this is, how it's a 5-star read, and then my husband called, and you guys heard about the whole tequila thing. So he wouldn't let me get back to filming. He basically talked to me the entire drive home from Disneyland, you know, to kind of make sure that he was fine. He didn't drink and drive, if you guys were wondering that. He had tequila previously, like in the day, and then he had 5 hours to sober up. But he smelled like tequila. So yeah, I didn't get to finish my video last night, or any of the videos that I wanted to record while he was with his work function. I have these plans, you know, and it took me so long to prepare everything that by the time I sat down to film the videos last night, I guess it just wasn't early enough. That's okay. The kids are at school. I have time to do it now. Excuse the tired face. I'm a little sleepy still because it is 8 o'clock in the morning. But let's finish. So I was talking about Ready Player One, and I said that I loved it. It's a 5-star read. I want to read this every single year. My son really liked it. And then, not immediately, but we did end up watching the film. Now, if you guys don't know, you know, about me and movie adaptations, 99% of the time, I enjoy the book more. I'm also one of those snooty people that, you know, walk into a theater and say, they didn't even read the book before they watched this movie. Of course they're not going to get it. Or, I know, it's dumb for me to have that opinion because not everybody likes to read, and sometimes, you know, the movie can be better than the book, or they can be different. With that being said, it's funny because my husband ended up listening to Ready Player One on audio, which he's done that for The Martian because he knows that was my favorite book. And then Ready Player One was also my favorite book of the year in whatever year it was. So he decided to read both of those books on audio, really liked them, and then watched the movie with me, and both times said, it's not the same. And I'm like, this is the torturous part about watching a movie adaptation. You go in with expectations of the director being pretty close to the source material, and then them just winging it. You're thinking, what the hell? So if you haven't seen the movie, it's similar but not quite. My husband and I were very upset that Wade wasn't bald, and that he, there were some things that happened way too early. My favorite part of the movie that was changed from the book was the library. That is not part of the book at all. There's no library to go to, and there's no reference man to talk to. I liked that aspect. It seemed fun, and the library guy, the librarian, he's very funny in the movie. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun movie, not as good as the book, and I'm sure that was because they wanted to make it, you know, they wanted to make it accessible for everyone, and they also wanted to make it exciting for everyone. The car chase in the movie is not in the book, and my husband and I were scratching our heads like, why is this in here? But then again, the other, I'm trying not to spoil anything, the other contests, challenges that Wade has to face is really good in written form, but maybe that would be super boring to watch, and so maybe that's why they put a car chase in. I don't know. I won't be buying the movie, but I enjoyed watching it, and I may or may not watch it again if it's like free on Netflix or something, but I definitely won't buy it because it's not something that I would like, ooh, I definitely want to watch Ready Player One today. You know what I mean? Like, I really like The Martian, even though they left a lot out from the book that I wish they had in there, and they put it is not a word, they put stuff into the movie that was not in the book, like the ending, which drives me crazy. But that movie, The Martian, is really good. I like putting that on late at night, like, and falling asleep. Not falling asleep to it, but, you know, watching it until I'm sleepy enough to go to bed. It's a very relaxing movie to me, and I thought they did a good job. Whereas Ready Player One's just like, it was okay. It was okay. All right. Enough said about Ready Player One. The very last book that I was able to complete in July, and this is the one that I was trying to finish before I left on my vacation, is What the Dead Want by Nora Olson. Did I give names to any of the books that I... You guys know this is from Ernest Cline, correct? I don't even know why I had to look. I was making sure I wasn't on the wrong name. Andy Weir is The Martian. I wanted to say Ernest Cline, and yes, he is Ernest Cline. I guess I did. I'm sorry, I'm still really tired. Okay, What the Dead Want. I can't remember when I picked this up. It must have been maybe in June. And it took me a long time to read. This was my shower book where I would, you know, read a chapter while the water was, you know, getting warm. And I gave it 2.5 stars. I just really didn't like it, and I was super bummed about that because this was something that was on my most anticipated reads. I had never read Nora Olson before, and it just seemed fascinating. The back doesn't really like give you any ideas of what's going on in the story, so I'll just tell you. The girl's name is Gretchen, I believe. Did I write it down? Yes. Her name's Gretchen, and she's 16 years old. Now, she lives in New York City with her dad and her mom's best friend. Sounds very strange. The dad and the best friend, I don't believe, are together. The mom had disappeared years ago, like when she was 10 maybe. So for like the last 6 years, her mom has been missing. And Gretchen doesn't know if her mom like left the family on purpose because she doesn't want them anymore, or if she was like kidnapped, or if she was murdered. She doesn't know what happened. The father doesn't know what happened. Again, it's been years, like 6 years, so they've moved on. The dad, I can't remember what he does. It's briefly mentioned. He must make things for different countries. He's not like a missionary, but he goes out to help other countries, and I don't remember what he does for that. But basically, he's never home. So the mom's best friend makes sure that Gretchen is, you know, taken care of. She's got food. And I don't believe I don't believe the best friend lives in the house with them. I think she just comes over every day to keep Gretchen company and make sure she's doing okay, like as her adult figure in her life, because her dad is constantly gone for months at a time. And then Gretchen has the cliche gay best friend that lives in her apartment complex. One thing I can't stand, there's always like a gay best friend. Like, it was cute years ago, but now it's just like, not every story needs to have a gay best friend. Can't there just be, you know, gay people in books without having to be the sidekick or the funny, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, ugh. I've heard it, I've read it, it's stupid. So anyways, that's the beginning of the book. She gets a phone call from a great aunt that she didn't even know existed. And the aunt says, hey, I need you to come up to the house because I'm going to be giving it to you and everything that I own. And so Gretchen's like today, like now? And the aunt's like, yeah, I need you to come as soon as possible. So Gretchen goes up there and finds out just all of this past stuff that she was not expecting. That her great aunt was like this famous photographer. By the way, Gretchen thought that this famous photographer, because she also likes photography, was a man. And again, that's another cliche in movies and in books where someone who's super famous and does really good at their job, just everyone in their universe believes that that is a man and not a woman. And when the person finds out, oh my goodness, you're a woman, everyone's shocked. Like, wow, I can't believe you can do something as good as a man or better. It's like, how about everybody has the ability to succeed in life regardless of gender, if they put their minds to it, you know what I mean? And they're creative and they have the drive. And some people are just exceptionally well at things. That's just the way they are. So I was just like, ugh, about that as well. And then the very last thing about this book is that Gretchen finds out that her family has been fighting with the town because of slavery. So there's a slavery aspect to this book, which is, I don't know. It could have been good, but it came out weird. So Gretchen is mixed, and she didn't know this, and the grandma didn't know until later on, and then all this stuff happened, and there was like their home, the family home was used as like a place for the blacks to come and have sanctuary before they were pushed off, you know, into hiding in other northern states. And so it's just like, where's the ghost part? Like, it was just, I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling. I really didn't like this book. I mean, it wasn't offensive, and so that's why I gave it 2.5 stars, and I finished the entire book. I mean, it got interesting at some points. There are 2 little scary children in here that I really enjoyed. They have a scary mirror that I really enjoyed. The house itself is great. There's a lot of paranormal activity in the house. I just don't like any of the characters, like any of the characters. And the fact that Gretchen's doing all this at 16, like, oh, where are you getting the money? You know what I mean? Like, how are you paying for anything? And then the people that are helping her, the kids that are helping her, they don't have driver's license, but they're just driving around. Nobody has parents. Like, they're just winging it. And yeah, maybe that was the kind of thing that happened a long time ago. But in this day and age, because she's got cell phones, in this day and age, you don't do that. You don't just run around without parent guidance. So, I don't know. I was disappointed, if you couldn't tell. All right, that was long, and sometimes I don't know if I'm getting my reviews out verbally as best as I can. So again, I will leave all of the Goodreads written reviews, all the links down below if you want to read about these books. I don't do any spoilers in my reviews, so you don't have to worry about being spoiled. But yeah, I'm so much better at writing, because then I can actually like look up words that I want to use and not sound stupid because sometimes I use the wrong words. Or I can dive back into the book and find, you know, names and places of characters, so that way, again, I am better able to explain it to you guys. And yeah, so go down and click on those links and read my reviews because they're way better than I can speak them. And that is it. Hopefully this video wasn't too sporadic and it was on the path of coherency because that's important. And yes, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!